Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Wednesday here on ChronoSpeakeasy.com. I'm your host, Paul, joined with Rob Nordberg and Mr.
Hi, everybody.
Chandler Taylor. And everybody says hi back. I'm sure of it.
In their cars, driving. Like,
I'm hearing voices. Hi, friend. He's talking to no one.
There's that one incredibly friendly person who just says hi to all of their favorite podcast hosts.
Hi.
I imagine that's what, like, Buddy the Elf does.
Hey, I mean, if Buddy the Elf listened to this podcast, I would not be upset. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't either. Speaking of listening to podcasts, Angela's channel, the Free Attempts to Adult, she's killing it right now. She posted it in on Reddit for like a home projects thing. She got over 460 views, and it got upvoted 43 times, and like she's got. Yeah, and I was like, wow, you just did better than the entire 3-year run.
I think the best upvotes we ever got was like 11.
But yeah, so let's keep the good times rolling on that. I know a shameless plug in the beginning, but it...
Hey, there should be no shame in that plug.
In my head, I thought I would share that.
We're plugging one of our own.
Yeah.
We stick together. No YouTubes left behind.
Yes, exactly. Right. Angela's thinking of doing like a crossover episode where like how to organize your
talking.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so lots to discuss this week. Unlike Angela's podcast, my thoughts are not organized, and I don't know if this episode ever or this show ever will be, but I appreciate you guys hanging in there. Let's dive in with the latest news, top of the hour. Breaking this just in, Kevin Fiege confirmed to be producing the X-Men films for Disney. Not that it was a surprise given the news with the Fox Disney merger, but it just feels good to hear somebody say it out loud. You know,
I am wondering how they're gonna slide him in there. I know it's gonna be a good incorporation. I have full faith, but I wonder if they're gonna make the mutation thing like something new. Like, so the whole, maybe like another, like a young Professor X and like a X-Men First Class type deal, or if this is like a, somehow they've just been in the shadows the whole time.
I know. I mean, I have so many questions. Like, are they going to bring James McAvoy in on this? Like, you know, or are they going to want to start fresh? I mean, who knows? A part of me kind of would like to see them start fresh, but with certain key characters, because I'm totally invested in James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender.
I do like them, but I think it'd be weird. I mean, they could do it in... I think it'd be cool if they did it... Actually, I don't know if it'd be cool. I'm trying to think of how they would do it.
That's the thing. It's like, I have no idea.
They could do a weird,
how
like, J.J. Abrams
Star
Wars or Star Trek type thing. It's funny because he did both. Kind of how it is technically a sequel, but it's also a reboot. Kind of how they had the original Spock talk to the old Spock.
Well, right, because you have, what is it, the Kelvin timeline they call it? So you have, like, the timeline that we all know from Will Shatner, but yet that can coexist with the Chris Pine timeline because, you know, if something changed in the past, it doesn't correct the path. It just sort of kind of creates a new one.
That seems too confusing for Marvel, though, because Marvel is very easy to understand, very digestible.
Right.
They're not trying to do a Flashpoint movie.
I don't know. Right. And I think that is why I've always said make mine Marvel, for that reason, especially when it comes to, like, the MCU. So, I don't know. I do think, and maybe this is cheap and a little too obvious, but I mean, you have 6 MacGuffins. Time, space, reality. I mean, there's no reason why something from, or like, mutants from a parallel Earth getting merged into this one, or the result of the Infinity War is somehow creates mutants, or who the hell knows? I mean, there's definitely some opportunity for time reality.
They could do like the
melding.
New Avengers, Second Avengers with the incursion. At least kind of like immerse them that way. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because
I don't know. I have so
feel
many
like
questions.
if they made them
yeah,
kind of always exist like in the shadows, there's probably a way to make it work, but I think they've already built up characters like Nick Fury who are so all-knowing of the universe. But I guess Professor X's brain is like the most ultimate MacGuffin.
Well, here's the thing, though, right? Nick Fury always knew about Captain Marvel.
Secrets.
And he's like, oh, yeah, I got this beeper. Yeah. But, do you remember in the Ultimate comic books where they explained how mutation happens? Remember that?
It
wasn't evolution.
It was
man-made.
Somehow fucked up Captain America serum. Is that what it was? I'm trying to think, and I'm like,
right.
I feel like everything in the Ultimate Universe is somehow a fucked up Captain America serum.
You took Wolverine's, like, this thing, everyone's, like, from Wolverine, basically.
Okay, yeah.
Right, but Wolverine was man-made in a sense, right? Wasn't his mutation, like he wasn't a product of evolution, I thought. Or was he? Because I remember Wolverine was, like, he was, like,
yeah, I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time.
What's the origin?
Which is cool, but then again, it's like, what about Apocalypse? Because I love a 1,000-year-old Egyptian mutant who, like, goes to sleep every 500 years or whatever.
I don't know. I have full faith that there's a very clean and, like, clever way for this all to happen. I'm just wondering, because if they introduced it as like a new thing, it'd be weird to already have like a team and stuff established.
Right. Oh yeah, they'd have to do like X-Men.
I really hope they do it with just like the real team. Like,
yeah, and let's not do the Wolverine show. I mean, we've had that. Like, do Iceman, Beast, and Angel, and Cyclops, and
all down for the 05, totally.
And then down the line, like when they do inevitably, like, think about like 2 or 3 movies down the line when all of a sudden there's the end of credits scene and it's fucking a Wolverine reveal. People would go buck wild.
Oh yeah. Yes. People would. Yes, there would be nerd jizz everywhere.
I mean, I like.
Yeah.
Wolverine, but he's not my favorite X-Man. I think I really liked him in the movies because he was the only one who had got any screen time, and it was Hugh Jackman.
You got all the cool lines.
Yep.
Yeah. I think after seeing movies like Avengers and Infinity War, like, there's no reason you can't do an ensemble cast for X-Men.
And seeing such a good Captain America for so long, there is no reason to not have a good Cyclops.
Seriously, just not make him a dick.
For Crybaby.
For the love of Christ. Oh, God, it's the worst. Like, honestly, like, I like the Cyclops I always refer to as the Cyclops from the Stan Lee Kirby run. Because I feel like they would know. I mean, that was their idea, you know? Not to say that, like, anything that came after doesn't count, but I feel like what was established in that comic got misinterpreted by other writers. Like the reason why Cyclops is a control freak is because he has a fucking cannon in his eyeballs, and he kind of has to be, you know, because he can't turn it off, you know. So it's like, well, shit. Of course, you would want to feel like you always, you know, would have to be in control because, I mean, it's like every time I kiss Jean is also like putting a bullet on her, you know, in between her eyes. Like it makes sense. So, I don't know. I'm excited, and I hope this opens door for a Fantastic Four as well.
I'm very excited about the future of the Marvel Universe now. Because losing
and
Captain America as we know him with like Chris Evans and stuff, it's going to be... I don't know how we're losing him, but we've been told we're going to be losing him.
Well, you know, so I watched the Infinity War commentary last night, which, if you haven't, check it out. It's great. But they talked about how in the original script, we didn't see Captain America until the whole Wakandan battle. Like, the scene where, I think where, like, Cap tackles somebody to save Vision, That was going to be the introduction. But they decided that, we'll push him back so he's someone in the movie. But part of the reason why they felt comfortable with having so little Cap coming later in the movie is the big role he has in the next one, which they said in the commentary that Cap's got a big part to play in the next movie. I just, I don't know, I'm bummed. I would hate to see Cap die, but
I wonder if he like sacrifices himself and he doesn't actually die. He's just like somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. But now that I know, at least I have the X-Men to look forward to, Fantastic Four to look forward to.
Yeah. So all's right in the world, and then you have. So yes, we have that to look forward to, and I'm very curious about what HBO is going to do with Watchmen. But hearing that Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor, who of this little indie band called Nine Inch Nails, the fact that they're doing the score is kind of amazing, because I love their soundtracks. Their soundtracks are amazing, and they do like foreboding and dark and sinister really well. Like if you listen to like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, or
I was gonna say even The Social Network, Girl, which isn't a very dark and I mean, it's kind of dark and foreboding because it's the creation of Facebook, which just but even that, it's like a weird mix of like beautiful and also dark and technological and stuff. I don't know. I think it's a good fit.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that definitely got my attention. And it sort of kind of hit all the right, like, yeah, okay, cool. Love to see where this is going to go.
I like the Watchmen movie. Yeah, it's not a bad movie.
It's not a bad movie.
I think it's just like what happens when you like are too faithful in adapting and adapting. That's like kind of like an example.
Right. Yeah, because here's the thing, and I really want to stress this, because I feel like sometimes things that we might say may get misinterpreted, but I like Zack Snyder. Like, I think he is a very talented filmmaker, and I think his movies always look good, even if it's dark disaster porn.
Right.
It looks good. Like, you cannot deny. Guy's got a vision.
It's like I always say, the scenes that he's directed of superhuman people fighting each other, I think are the best directed scenes of superhumans fighting each other. Like the scene in Man of Steel of the Kryptonians fighting Superman in Smallville, I still think is like when you watch a show like Dragon Ball Z or some anime or something where they're like going crazy fighting at super speeds and like you can't even comprehend what's going on. I feel like that scene is the only one that kind of captured just like what that would look like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, and even parts of, Batman versus Superman looked great. Like, I don't think it's a bad looking movie. A whole ton of other things bother me. But as far as direction goes, not one of them. So I think Watchmen is actually a good movie. And there are some really strong parts in Watchmen. Like, I still think the beginning, that montage of Bob Dylan's The Times They Are Changing is like one of my favorite comic book openings. Like, just, it's really well done. And I think the casting of a Jackie Earle Haley as Rorschach is like one of the best comic book performances. Like, for me, it's up there with Heath Ledger's Joker. Like, just as far as like just encapsulating a character so well through performance art. It's really well done. But to what Chandler was saying, it's too faithful for a feature-length movie. Like, I think Watchmen always deserved like a mini-series. Because I think if you try to be faithful to the book, miniseries is the way to do it. I think you can be faithful to it and kind of hit all the right notes.
Jesus, that movie
with letting
came
the
out
story
almost
kind of
10
breathe and
years
the
ago.
characters breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Holy fudge nuts!
Yeah,
What was that, 2009?
I always speak about the first time I went to Comic-Con, but let me tell you, back in 2008, I remember walking onto that show floor. And Watchmen was definitely the thing they were showing. They had the big owl copter. Right. It's not a copter. His little floaty sky thing. Yeah, that was like
Artemis 2 or something
flying
like
over the show floor.
Archie.
Yes.
Archie, right. I was
I
like,
should
no,
go back.
that's
I have the
Artemis
Absolute
too.
of Watchmen. I should read that in large, beautiful format.
That's definitely like a comic that everyone needs to know in an absolute
And
format.
Doomsday Clock has
Absolutely.
kind of got, or like the whole Rebirth Doomsday Clock thing has kind of got me wanting to read some Watchmen again.
Yeah, and so far that's been surprisingly good.
I just
Like I
one thing
I
that
keep
sucks is
thinking
just,
it's
I mean,
gonna
it's
suck. And
for all good event comics that have, you know, the same artist and writer and everything. I just wish it came out more consistently.
oh, I know. I mean, when I had heard, what was it, after the first 3 months,
I
we're
know.
gonna take a break. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, think about it. That came out almost a year ago.
November.
A year ago next month.
God, that's so crazy.
And it's 12. It's 12 issues long. And how many have come out? Like, yeah, something like that. So I was thinking, oh, cool. This time next year, I can sit down and read this in one go. And it's like, nope, it can be longer than a year. But at the same time, though, I mean, this was sitting at the focal point for the DC Rebirth. So it's like, you know what? I would rather them take their time than try to rush it.
That's when I'm gonna have to definitely go back and read,
but
start to finish in like a hardcover or something. Just because.
Yeah, that would be something fun to do for a book review as well. I would definitely like to kind of sit down and revisit that. And thankfully, the surrounding DC comics are still fucking amazing. So we got that, and yeah. And speaking of DC, what was it? The Black Label came out with Batman Damned, which is the art is fantastic. It's the same team that did like the Joker storyline and the Lex Luthor and Batman Noel. What was it? It's like Brian Azzarello and Lee.
Batman. It's called Batman Damned, right? Batman Damned. Lee Bermejo. That's what I'm gonna say. And Brian Azzarello,
the first name right.
Of course.
Yep. The only thing that's kind of bugging me about this is that it's kind of a cool story where Batman enlists like with John Constantine and Zatanna, but all anybody seems to be talking about is his dick, and we're not talking about Nightwing.
They're not talking about his booty either, because they have a full. I mean,
Badass.
He got a nice
dude
booty.
lifts weights.
I mean,
Dude works hard for that body.
Yeah. he does squats. Boy does squats. But yeah, I don't even get what the big deal is. Like, oh, First of all, one headline was Batman
Finally, it's hilarious.
Finally, is this something that we were clamoring for? And also, like, it's like the shadow of or not even shadow. It's like a silhouette. It's like the Batcave lighting up part of. It's just enough light to know that he's circumcised. That's like pretty much.
I just think it's ridiculous. I think it's funny. Like, it's like such a clear example of like the double standard of men and women and stuff. Because it's like, how many like naked women basically are in like normal comic books, and then they finally show like a silhouette of a penis, and everybody's like, "Oh my god!"
I know how many times have we seen just like TNA
Power Girl
in comic books?
Like,
my lord. Her power is to keeping her back straight with those double Ds. I mean,
don't get me wrong. I'm not like against it on either side. Like, whatever. Batman looks good. Let him flaunt it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I just think it's funny that's like the takeaway.
I know,
like
it's
bat
such a
dick,
silly
bat penis.
thing.
I was like, come on.
I bet if they didn't make like all these news headlines about it, nobody would even think twice about it. They're just like, huh, saw his dick. All right, keep reading.
Yeah, I think if anything, what's the saying?
That's true.
Any publicity is good publicity.
I didn't really know much about the book until the news dropped, so.
Yeah, either way, and I'm just excited to see how the story will develop. Yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, because, there's so much more to Batman than just his dick. I mean, come on, guys. Let's not be too shallow, I mean, the guy's detective with all these cool gadgets out there fighting crime, which actually leads to what tonight's main topic is going to be. Speaking of somebody else who is smart and intelligent and wants to do the right thing and has cool gadgets and fights crime and wears a bright yellow. Or, man, Batman's really, he's kind of more like a black gray. But Dick Tracy, man, that dude loves his banana yellow
the other Dick.
And overcoat.
Mm-hmm.
Tell you what. Yes, the other Dick. Dick Tracy is an American comic strip. Came out in the year of our Lord 1931.
Good year.
So definitely predating Batman.
1931. No,
Yeah.
anybody? Great Depression, anybody? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Dick Tracy came out though, so it's a good year.
I mean, I've heard it was pretty bad. But Dick Tracy. I said
Dick
Dick
Crazy.
Jesus, we're just Dick Crazy tonight. It's all about that Dick. Sorry, it's so obvious. I know, terrible. But yeah, he's created by Chester Gould. And I guess it premiered in the Chicago Tribune, New York News Syndicate, and he apparently drew the comic until 1972. That's a pretty good run. I mean, to consistently be drawing
decades,
the same dude for, and for those of you who never read the comic, I'm sure that you probably saw the incredibly amazing 1990 movie with Warren Beatty and Madonna, which, by the way, Madonna is like, I had the biggest crush on Madonna in that movie. Like, Madonna, like, sealed the deal for me. Like, because I was telling Rob before we were recording, there's this scene where she tries to seduce Dick Tracy, where she, like, crawls over his desk with, like, her ass in the air.
That day, something awoken in Paul.
I had, let's just say, call it a strong physical response, and it freaked me out when I told my mom, and she was like, well, we know Paul's not gay. And this is 1990. I was 4 years old. I was like, oh, wowzers. Oh, boy. And I was also apparently Mickey Mouse. But yeah, love the movie. And you know what's crazy about the movie, too? You have Al Pacino.
Mm-hmm. This is like old crazy man Al Pacino, too.
I mean, and the crazy thing is that he's good in it. It's just kind of bananas, you know. That whole movie is kind of bananas, but this is, every time I think of Dick Tracy, like, he has this line where he goes, Tracy, and that's like the only thing I can remember from that movie, apart from Madonna's butt in midair. Dick Tracy was just kind of, they're kind of interesting books to read, especially because it's got that that noir type of feel, which is funny because he's again dressed in banana yellow. When you're stalking the streets of the underworld, banana yellow may not be the way to go. He's a bold man,
and
it worked out for him. And he had cool gadgets too. Like, I mean, when I was a kid, I always loved the wristwatch he would talk into, and it was like a little TV. Come on, Apple, get on that with your Apple swatches.
Keep people from having heart attacks and stuff. We don't need that.
I don't even know how many steps I took today. I'm gonna talk to the chief of police. Pronto, stat. What kind of problem here? See?
Yeah, I have no relationship with Dick Tracy. I don't remember watching the movie. I know I've seen it. When I hear Dick Tracy, I just picture the cover, like the poster of the movie, like that silhouette, cartoony Dick Tracy name and stuff. And like, I know the vibe of it, but going into this comic book, I didn't really, I knew what I was getting into, but I didn't have the priors for him, but I liked it a lot.
Right. Yeah, and this cast is actually pretty impressive because you get Warren Beatty, and you also had, I was just gonna go into the IMDb list. You have Mandy Patinkin, and you had Al Pacino, Dustin Hoffman, Kathy Bates, Dick Van Dyke, Captain O'Hara. I mean, James Caan. I mean, this is a pretty dynamite cast for a mediocre movie. But I mean, either way, though, check it out because, we love comic book movies, the good, the bad, and the yellow. So yeah, definitely check it out. And apparently there was also like a television series for a while. There was like a live action series, I guess back in the 50s. And then there's an animated cartoon. And that was like it only ran from 1960 to 1961. And I guess they tried to do another live action movie or a live action series back in 67. So yeah, he's kind of popped up here and there. And I guess, and Dick Tracy has, an impact on comic books, like the Tick, apparently. He's got a lot of villains that, they kind of have weird disfigurements, like the Chair, and like, so a lot of that came from Dick Tracy, who kind of had.
Is Dick Tracy pulp or like noir or like a mix or like its own thing?
I want to say it's a little bit of both, but it was also but it wasn't it was never like a comic book, like it was like a strip in the newspaper. But I think it was tapping into
kind of like an old
noir scene.
serial.
It's like
thing.
I don't have time for a movie, or reading a Dashiell Hammond novel. I just want a strip I can read in a minute, and call it a day.
Okay. Yeah, I liked it. I feel like it was like missing like misogyny, like the random misogyny of that era.
I know I was like, it's funny because
right, yeah.
So this is Dick Tracy, Dead or Alive by IDW for anybody who wants to read along. But yeah, like it starts off. There's like a guy running to like a plane, and then it shows like a newspaper, and it says like there's people talking about hackers and like. There's like flat screen TVs and stuff, so it's like kind of set in current times, but it's still.
It's like, but it isn't.
The cars are all like that.
The
all
cars,
the planes have like propellers.
Panel.
Everybody's dressed like it's the 40s. There's like telephones and stuff, but
yeah. But it's so funny because you look at just that first panel, you're at an airport, you see the old-timey planes and the cars, and you see this guy running, who's clearly dressed to the period, and he says, "So careful, Fox the cameras framed that hacker." It's like, whoa, cameras, hacker, what the hell is going on?
Then they get a cell phone later in the comic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, burner phone.
But yeah, I thought it was very just like fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't a very, like, there's no real depth to it yet. I'm sure if it keeps going, they might add some more layers, but it's literally just like, Dick Tracy, I'm the only clean cop everywhere I go, and everywhere I go, they kick me off the force because of it.
Right. Like, I mean, I'm down for any cop scene where a cop has to,
because
like,
he's
give up his
too
badge.
good of a guy.
Like, I'm always like, I didn't...
You're off the force.
Yeah, and I think he says, too, if all I cared about was a career and a pension, I'd work at the DMV. I put on the badge in order to put away the peepers of the world. If you don't want me doing that,
also, can we talk about
your badge?
The guy he puts away is named G. Jepson Peepers. That's just a fucking awesome name.
And totally of, like, the 30s.
G. Jepson Peepers.
Great.
I love dumb names. Like when people come up with like really ridiculous names, but they're just good. That's what gets me.
Oh, dude. Dick Tracy has like his villains. I mean, yeah, they're all just like crazy names. Like there's like Numbers, Prune Face, Mumbles, 88 Keys.
I love when it cuts to
Lips Manless.
Like the next shot of like a city, and there's a boardroom, and it's just every single dude is just smoking like comically large cigars or pipes, and it's just completely filled with smoke, and they're literally just talking about how evil they are.
Yeah, and one of them, of course, is like the chief of police. Which, if we're gonna do this right, I imagine him to have like an incredibly thick Irish accent. But Jesus, crime's up, and that's the way we like it.
That one guy who was the dissenter and like blew his car up. I was like, oh, what a pity.
I know. Wait. So does he have like bombs in everybody's cars just in case somebody just decides to fucking jump ship? I was like, well, I guess I'm walking home, fellas. Explosives. I love the old timey talk too. I was like, yeah, like what was it? They called Dick Tracy a patsy because like, they have this idea. They cook up this scheme. Like, there's like this governor that's been, elected that they don't like because she's squeaky clean and wants to do what's right, and she's placing all these laws, and they're like, oh, we need to get a squeaky clean cop, see? Get the public love him, see? Yeah, then we'll twist him, see? And then and I was like, yeah. And where do we get this Saunders Cup? That was the Irish police chief. And he says, what just happened to come on the market, see? Pants by the name of Dick Tracy. See? It's great. Yeah, I know. But yeah, the car blowing up. I just love everybody looking out the window. The car blew up there. I was like, holy shit.
I love how as soon as Dick Tracy, like, this is my favorite part of the whole thing. He arrives on, like, this super old-timey, like, Art Deco-ass train. And, he gets off, they give him the badge, and the second he gets the badge, he just turns around and handcuffs everybody. And he's just like, well, what's up, guys? Thanks for making me cop again.
Well, I love that, yeah. Well, I love that notion about how, like, seems our dedicated cop strongly dedicated, to taking his unused vacation days first. That's weird. It's like, well, I was using it to team up with that governor you don't like to take you guys down. Yeah, then the police chief like runs away, and then he goes to Big Boy, who, by the way, is who Al Pacino was playing in the Dick Tracy movie, being like, "Oh, you gotta help me! Like, he arrested the others, like, and he's after me." And he's just like, "You led him to me, you fool!"
I love the death speech bubbles with the skulls; those are awesome.
Oh, I know. I just love like eat lead, copper. Like, I just like I
want
to see
this
animated.
Notice the part where the cop's running away and he runs by the woman and her dress flies up and her underwear says two like an abbreviation of Tuesday on it.
Well, hold on, let me see, because I remember seeing like I remember thinking, wow, they're really kind of going out of their way to show her underwear.
That's what I was thinking too. And then it says TUE, like she labels her underwear for each day. I was like, what a weird thing to put in this comic book.
Wearing blue undies on a Tuesday. That is pretty hilarious. Yeah. And then, yeah, I just love that Big Boy had a burner phone. I don't know why, but that might be like my favorite part of it. And I love how there's like a box with an arrow that says burner phone. In case my great-grandparents dug out this comic and decided to read it and they didn't know what was going on.
I like how it's kind of written like that. Like, they're writing it for the people from the 30s, but it, like, using modern stuff, and they're trying to explain it to the people in the 30s.
Yeah. It's so great. It's basically just if the style in the fashion in, like, today's world. Like, if we had Facebook but dressed to the nines. Like, going to the store, but I put on my bow tie.
Kind of like punk would this be in terms of like steampunk or like it's like pulp punk or
yeah, pulp punk,
noir punk.
Yeah,
pulp punk's got a good ring to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I do
it's
like
a new
that
genre.
Pulp punk.
Yeah.
Want some pulp in your punk? Packed with extra pulp.
It's just the whole orange.
Yeah. I also love, and then it was crazy too, because and for that reason, because it's so stylized in the 30s and yet so modern, it was sort of jarring when they were like, "All right, we're gonna take him to the electric chair." I was like, "Oh shit, okay." So yeah, we got burner phones,
and I love how gung ho he is
people.
To just like, he's like, "Oh, you're gonna be dead within 12 hours." He's like, "You piece of shit."
Sucks to be you.
He's like all for swift punishment and justice.
Yeah, I mean, Dick Tracy is like, listen, if you're gonna do it, do it right or not at all. You know, that's just the way Dick Tracy is, and it's funny because he's sort of like Captain America in that sense. You know, somebody who wants to do the right thing, and you know, definitely has like a strong moral compass, but loves his what do they call them? Boilermakers.
Just whatever drink he's drinking.
Yeah, I love this. Call me old-fashioned. Call me a chump. Call me a mug. I'm a cop because I believe in law and order. I believe in the rule of law because without law, all you have left is the law of the jungle. And I've seen what a jungle it is out there. I've seen it. Love it. Yeah, I'm always down for old-timey shit. It's actually one of the reasons why I loved Brick. Because it was like a present-day murder mystery in high school. And they all talked
I remember watching
like...
Brick when I was in college, and I was just like, this is so smart. This is so good.
Brick?
It's Rian Johnson's first movie, the director of The Last Jedi. Starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yeah.
And it had Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
But yeah, it's like a low-budget, independent
that was a good
film
movie.
he made. And it's like a film noir set in like a high school setting.
Whoa, 500,000 budget, 3.9 million box office. That's quite a profit.
Yeah. That's why indie films, man, you know, you do it right. I mean...
Yeah, I think his
you know,
brother recorded the score for that movie on his like MacBook in like their apartment or something.
That's awesome. I love shit like that. And that's the kind of stuff that I want to do someday. I want to like make like an incredible movie. Like, yeah, I made it on a shoestring budget. You know, we filmed it in 2 weeks, and I have 19
I think
Oscars
the craziest story like that, as at least recently. I mean, I feel like Robert Rodriguez has the craziest story where he made El Mariachi with money.
Sorry.
He like went. He
Shark Boy and Lava
he did
Girl.
Like medical testing with his own body just to like get the money, and that stuff's crazy.
Yep.
But the guy who directed the movie Primer, it was like a $7,000 time travel movie, directed by, written, and starring the guy, and he was determined to shoot it on film because he knew the only way to make a $7,000 budget movie look somewhat legit is by shooting it on film. But he only had the budget of shooting each scene twice. Like he couldn't do it more than twice, or else he just couldn't do it. So he like meticulously storyboarded every single shot of the movie with like photographs and stuff. And it's, if you want to watch a time travel movie that makes your brain hurt, Primer.
Oh, dude, I don't know what the fuck that movie's about. It's like laying down in a box in a storage unit.
I watched it twice in a row. Literally, I watched it once,
what?
And then I went back to the beginning and watched it again.
Still lost.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking that movie because it's very well done. And can you imagine the pressure of like, man, you can't fuck up. You have to know your lines.
Yeah, that shit's crazy. But anyway, Dick Tracy. I also love old timey shit. in my older age, as I've aged as a comic book person, I've gone from your typical teenage boy who likes Rob Liefeld-esque stuff because it's hip and cool, to now I'm just like, man, Darwin Cook is just awesome. Jack Kirby's great. And like, I love all this clean lined, like, just, it's not super realistic or dark or anything. It's just good.
Yeah. No, for me, yeah, it's fun. Like I like, you know, a part of me, like, you know, is kind of growing up and like really appreciating all of the like the independent stuff, like, you know, like, you know, it was like Robert Crumb and, you know, like kind of all the other like indie comics and Persepolis, but still having that strong desire for Spider-Man. That makes it sound like I want to sleep with him. You know, just like that strong, like, I feel like I appreciate it more with a mature-ish mindset, you know, because it's like, because when you're a kid, like, oh wow, bright colors and punching people, neat, oh, and I like read it now, and you know, I appreciate the subtext more, you know, like Peter Parker trying to figure out how the fuck he's gonna make rent.
Also,
those things. problems that the world of Dick Tracy doesn't have, but still kind of
that Mike Allred cover though.
Fun nonetheless.
God damn, it's such a tease.
Oh, the Mike Allred cover is gorgeous, but even though he doesn't illustrate this, still think
it's definitely throwback if you see the original comic strip. Like if you go and just type Dick Tracy comic strip, it is very of the original styling.
Yeah, if you haven't read Dick Tracy but you fucking love Tintin, you should check this out. Because I feel like you want to graduate the big boy stuff from Tintin, Dick Tracy's your man. But I also love, so they take Big Boy to prison. He's gonna get executed, and there's also a freak thunder and storm happening, and so he's executed. But they come to find out that somebody tampered with the wiring, and I love that someone's like, "Oh, Warren's tearing the joint apart, looking for a mole," and then the next panel is this dude who looks like a fucking mole. And it's great because when I was reading it, I was doing the smart panel, so I didn't see him coming. I was like, "Oh, I'm looking for a mole," and then boom, this dude's fucking nose and his hair. I was like, "Wow, that's
too literal."
Like a mole wearing a skin suit.
I also love how they're like, somebody must have tampered with him so he wouldn't die. Good thing there was that freak lightning strike because he still ended up dying.
Yeah, but then also, you see his fingers twitching there at the end?
I don't know, but there's a lot of goofy shit going on, and I'm into it.
Indeed. I love goofy shit. And I think this was, a kind of a welcome breath of fresh air as far as comic. Because it's been a while since I've read anything new as far as outside of the norm. And, some things you're like, because I'm, cheap. And it's like, do I really want to spend the $2.99 take a gamble on this new comic? But when I saw Dick Tracy and with the Allreds involved, Mike Allred, who, I don't know if you remember, what was that comic he did?
Madman.
Boy, or Madman.
The Ecstatics?
Jesus. I loved Madman. Oh, yeah, Ecstatic was great.
Dupe.
And of course, that Silver Surfer run with Dan Slott was pretty amazing. But yeah, it's good. I liked it. What did you guys think?
I think it was just a solid, fun comic book. If you're into that old timey, pulpy, reverent, tongue in cheek, humory stuff, I thought it was good.
I kind of like just how straightforward it is. It's very A to B, B to C. I'm a cop. I'm a good cop. I'm taking down evil.
Yeah, there's not some weird
evil,
cliffhanger teasing of some weird deeper story yet. Which, don't get me wrong, I'd be down if they do it. But yeah, it's just refreshing, just kind of seeing straightforward, funny action pulp stuff.
Yeah. No, it's great, and I love that it was written by Lee and Michael Allred. Michael Allred was the inker, and Laura Allred was the colorist, like you had said. And shout out to Rich Tommaso, who did the art. And I think it works incredibly well as far as kind of, I think, being complimentary to the time that Dick Tracy was conceived and written in.
It's solid recommendation.
It's fine, yeah. Usually with these reviews, I like to dig down. It's like, oh, what are the metaphors? What are they trying to say? You really don't have any room for that, and that's perfectly fine. I think it's kind of one of the reasons why I like it, because, again, it's fast-paced, which I like, too. A lot happens in this first issue. He's taking down a cop, or no, he's taking down Peepers McGee, whatever the hell his name was. He takes that dude down. He has to retire from the police force. He gets hired by a new police force. He takes down a bulk of the underworld. Gets this crime boss in prison, who's now struck by lightning and a zombie, maybe. It's like, that's a lot for...
You get a full image of Dick Tracy as a character.
Yeah, and if someone told me the series of events, what, it's the first 2 or 3 issues? No, that's the first issue.
Yeah, it's not very compressed. Usually with comics, it was very compressed. It's usually now with comics, everything's super decompressed. It takes 6 to 8 issues to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, this is nice. It's good. Like you said, it's a good change of pace, literally.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, no, it was nice. It was. I think sometimes you kind of. It's like everything in life, moderation. You know, you can't read Alan Moore for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You got to get your candy.
Also, it's just
and your dessert.
You know, it would take breakfast, lunch, and dinner to get through one issue of Alan Moore because it's so dense.
Mm.
Oh God. Yeah, take out your reading glasses.
Don't get me wrong. I like me some Alan Moore, but it's dense.
Alan Moore, I had to kind of give myself a pep talk and remind myself, like, you went to college.
I remember, did any of you ever read Providence?
You can do this.
No.
One of his more recent comic books. I was like really into it. It was very like H.P. Lovecraft and stuff like that, but I remember I would read it and then like literally it would come out on time. I'd read it a month later and I was like, oh God, what happened? And then I'd go back and but like I need to finish it because I remember really liking it and it was very like Cthulhu-y and all this weird shit, which is awesome, and I like when comics deal with that stuff, but boy, Alan Moore.
Oh yeah.
Dude can write a dense comic.
True that. Apart from dense stuff, what have you guys been reading this week? You guys reading anything that's been kind of, you know, similar pace to Tracy, or not at all, or are you even
I'm
reading?
Still reading Avengers Academy, working my way through that. It's actually still really good. I mean, I only ever, like, originally when I first read it, I only got to like probably the second trade, but now I'm like on like the third or fourth, and it's like really good.
Now, what's the timetable for this? Is this like where is this happening in the Marvel Universe? Like, is this
this is this is right after Siege, during Heroic Age. Sorry, after Dark Reign, Heroic Age. Well, Siege is after Dark Reign, but yeah. So starts in Heroic Age, goes through Fear itself, and then Avengers vs. X-Men. I think is when it like ends roughly. Yeah. So 2010 to like 2012, 2013. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're.
It's kind of cool. Like, what's happening right now?
What's happening? What's going on in the comic? Kind of give us a little.
Yeah, sure. So, the whole premise is, if you guys haven't read it, is basically Hank Pym and Tigra, like, they like recruit a bunch of superpowered teenagers into Avengers Academy. But like what's unknown to the students is that they're only being selected because they were all like in some way tortured by Norman Osborn during like the Dark Reign period. So they're all kind of like fucked up and they're at risk to be like the next supervillains, not the next superheroes. So that's like the twist. They eventually find that out. So there's a lot of like what I like about this is like there's a lot of like philosophizing and like moralizing about things that you don't really get in like other like teen books. I think the teen books kind of just go for like the teen drama and like the action. This is more like, hey, is it right to kill people? And like, if you kill people to save people, is that okay? Is it okay to kill people like if you like feel bad about it? Like these are things that like it's like a good like dissection of like what makes a hero, coming from like the point of view of like people who are supposed to be villains when like everyone thinks you're gonna be villains and like they have like someone stacked against them. So it's like really cool. I like it. Right now, what I'm reading, they just moved to the West Coast, so they redid the West Coast Avengers mansion. So that's like the new Avengers Academy. So they expanded. So a lot of like new characters and familiar faces. It's really fun. It's kind of like I think my only gripe was that like this is like a really good story, but like with a lot of like books during that time period with all the events, they just got kind of sidetracked a lot by events. But like I think Avengers Academy does a pretty good job of like kind of staying self-contained and like kind of like using the event to like their advantage and developing the characters with it, as opposed to just like we're just being dropped to the story. Here's like the obligatory 3 issues of us like dealing with this event, and then we go back to what we're doing, hopefully. So yeah, it's good shit.
Just read it.
Cool.
I
like it.
I think I read the first issue when it came out. I think it came out like in one of my peaks where I was just like reading everything. But usually in that time frame, I fall off most of the books.
Yeah, I started Avengers Academy. I started Avengers Academy and Morning Glories at the same time in like 2010, summer of 2010.
Yeah, Morning Glories, I think I read the first, like, 3 trades or something, and then I was like, I'm confused.
That's
I feel like
the
none of
point.
these questions will be resolved, just like the show Lost.
They get resolved, but then it creates like 2 or 3 more questions.
Of course. But yeah, I haven't been reading too much this week. I've been super busy with work and stuff. But I got to give a shout out to American Vandal Season 2. The first season was incredible, and the second season is starting off also incredible. It is just so goddamn funny, and it is such a smart, like, satire of all these true crime documentaries that are coming out on Netflix and HBO and all, like, the true crime podcasts and stuff like that. And the main mystery revolves around a guy called the Turd Burglar, and every time they say it, it makes me laugh.
What?
That's all I gotta say. Just watch the trailer for it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that's a great
Also,
show.
A public service announcement.
good
The
stuff.
open beta for Magic the Gathering Arena starts next week, I think, like 1 week from today. And I've been playing the closed beta for the past like month or two, and it's a really good streamlined version of Magic for computers.
I'm so upset because like I got like the closed beta like invitation, but I don't have a PC. I have a Mac. So tight. So mad.
Yeah. It is really fun. It's they definitely learned a lot of lessons from Hearthstone and other digital card games
Hearthstone. Sorry.
into how to make it run smooth and visually appealing. And it doesn't have every older format like Magic Online does, but it also looks better. And I think it's a good entryway for new people who've never played Magic. And Magic's my favorite game ever, so people should learn how to play it. And Arena is a good way to do it.
Yeah.
And you can tell that you could play that shit with a touchscreen, no problem. So I'm picturing like an iPad version in the future, which would be sweet.
So it's just for like desktop, no like mobile capabilities yet?
Yeah, right now it's just for Windows, but it's built on like the Unreal Engine or something, which can be ported to mobile pretty easily, I hear. So I think it took Hearthstone like a year or so before like the mobile versions came out, so the idea of playing Magic on my phone is terrifying because I don't know if I'd ever stop, but also I'm down.
Spend all the money.
But it's like Hearthstone. If you just play for free, you can slowly build decks that are good. It's just a lot slower. But yeah, check it out. If you have a Windows PC or something.
If not, sucks.
Right. Yeah. Man, I'm still continuing on my X-Men crusade. I just got through Fall of the Mutants, which is like where Angel becomes the Archangel, and the New Mutants have their first like kind of death. And not that I wasn't enjoying New Mutants before, but I feel like it just kind of really got interesting, where kind of seeing these kids handle death before, you know, and just sort of kind of how they process that. And this is where Magneto was like turning over a new leaf, and he's the headmaster of the school, and he's like, what did you fucking do? Like, you know, like, you guys are under my protection, you fucking run off on an adventure and you get yourselves killed, and, you know, like, it was really good. Yeah, and some of it's a little wild, like Storm and Forge, or some fighting some Navajo Indian god.
Cool.
And dinosaurs are in Texas. But yeah, all in all, not bad. I'm slowly getting back into Batman because I took a break after the whole wedding.
Was that ever
thing.
good?
It was good up until it didn't happen, and it was sort of like, I don't know. I just kind of wish for once they would just fucking go through with what they say they're gonna do. Because even Colossus and Kitty Pryde, they didn't get married, you know. I know Rogue and Gambit did, but it's like, I don't know. I just kind of feel like a cop out, like, not the wedding you were expecting. So I was like, I'm taking a break from Batman because I feel like it's not that I was mad that they didn't get married. It was why they didn't get married, because Catwoman realizes that for there to be a Batman, Bruce Wayne has to be a fucking grumpy.
Damning him for eternity. Awesome. Batman damned.
Yeah, it was I didn't like that at all. Yeah, it's fucking stupid. But there's this great 3-issue arc where
That's so cute. I love it.
It's really, really good. It's a clever story because the story that or he's on jury duty for a crime that Mr. Freeze committed, and all the evidence they got was from Batman, and Batman's starting to second guess what he did, and that maybe Mr. Freeze may actually be innocent. And so they're really quick to pass judgment on Mr. Freeze, but Batman's like, well, wait a minute. Yeah, he's killed people before, but he's on crime for killing these 3 people. I don't know. I thought it was interesting and very, I don't know, kind of fitting of the time. I think because it's sort of, I like think it's kind of allegorical to what some things are going on with. There was a black kid in my street. He's clearly up to no good. It's sort of like that's sort of what this is. Like, yeah, I mean, we have a convicted felon here, but did he do this crime? And like we may not owe it to him, but we owe it to the justice system, to do this shit right and not judge off of, what this guy looks like or what he's done previously. And the notion that people have too much trust in Batman. Like, Batman is like, he is not a god. He's a human being, and he is infallible. Like, he can fuck up just as much as you and me. So I really liked it for that reason. And it sort of kind of makes Batman kind of reevaluate how he detects and processes crime. So yeah, it was really good. And the art, I think his name is Lee Weeks. It was great. I think it's like issue 51 and 53. If you get the chance, get it on Comixology or go to your local comic book shop. It's really good. And I read the second issue of Fantastic Four.
I didn't know it came out. I gotta check it out.
Rob. Yeah, it was a good issue. It's sort of basically is everything. It's basically showing them. It shows Reed and Sue Richards, and it kind of runs parallel to what was happening in the first issue. So it's sort of like, meanwhile, while they were doing this, here's what they were doing. That was really good. And I saw Hereditary finally.
Okay.
It's eerie, but it's really good. Like, it's not what I thought it was, what it was going to be. Like for me, I think the best way to describe it, or was actually the director who said that it was sort of like, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was just sort of like a family tragedy, just like, I think he said like congealing, or like in like a pressure cooker, where it's just like the stress of like loss, and so, and just kind of the notion of what we inherit from our parents and what we hand down to our kids, and I guess the kind of notion of being conscious about being children into a world that we know will hurt them. It asks a lot of... It's good, though. Like, it was, I think, especially for a first-time feature filmmaker, Toni Collette is fucking awesome. Like, she deserves an Oscar nomination. Not that I believe in the Oscars, but I feel like somebody should say, hey, she kicked ass this year, because it was really good. And it sidestepped a lot of cliches. And I like that you really feel like nobody is safe. Like, when you watch a horror movie, you're like, oh, well, okay, well, this guy's gonna make it. Like, you just don't know what's gonna happen. And I think the true horror element of the story is just sort of the shit that can happen every day. Just, when we lose somebody, and, like, that processing of grief. Which, yeah, that's sort of like what the fear is. But it was really, really good. I can't stress it enough. Watch it with the lights on. Because there are some great bits where you'll have this wide shot, and you're like, why are we on this for so long? Oh my god, I see it. Oh god. Oh god. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's good. Can't stress that enough. Hereditary. But regardless, y'all know the drill. WednesdayComicPodcast@gmail.com. Shoot us an email. Or not. Well, no, do it. What am I saying? But yeah, give us some love on iTunes. Give us those stars. We're on Stitcher. We're on YouTube. We're not hard to find, is what I like to always say, because we're really not. Yeah, that's all I got, homies. Check out Dick Tracy. Check out